Hey guys, Abiel here. Hope everyone is doing great. I hope you are enjoying Fatal Fury City of the Wolf since early access started yesterday. So it has launched, but not yet because the official launch date is Thursday the 24th. But anybody who buys the game now or pre-orders or pre-ordered before, they get access. They got access yesterday, right? So the game has been out. I am loving it. I think it's fantastic. I did my review, which you should check if you haven't done yet. I really went in details about pretty much every aspect of the game, and I didn't think that the review is going to be around 30 minutes. So apologies if it's a bit too long, but I wanted to talk about a lot of things and make sure that I cover everything. In my review, I gave the game 87 out of 100, and I had some issues, minor issues that I talked about. But today I want to check and share that what the critics, like the publications, the gaming websites and whatnot are saying about the game. So that's why I'm loading here the Metacritic page for the game. And currently I'm actually kind of surprised it's down to 79, because like yesterday when the game just released, it was around 81. So it went a bit down. We're gonna check all the reviews, like the big ones, and talk about them and just see what they say. Let me move myself here so that you guys can see. Yep, here we go. I think that's better. So let's talk about some of the and see what they say and whether I agree with them or not. So we have COTW. This is a French publication. They gave the game 90, which is pretty cool. Can you see it from here? Am I blocking in the way? Am I blocking the way? Just a tiny bit. Let's just move here. All right. Okay. So, according to them, the grand return of the Fatal Fury franchise, which had disappeared from the radar 26 years ago, and for which Neo Geo fans had been desperately waiting, that is true, was made through the front door. This time, the game is not just fun for them, but also for the mainstream players who will discover the game with sophisticated yet accessible combat system, even on a visual level. We're finally treated to a 3D SNK game that's obvious to look. In short, it's perfect. Pretty good, right? VG Games. So this is by. Hold on. No, not with the score. I want to see by. Can I check what recently added? Or should we go? Let's go by the score. So this is the highest. This is the highest that the game has got. 90. All right. VG Games, all right, another 90. It says Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is the needed return of one of the most beloved IPs in fighting games genre. Okay, and together with revamped gameplay elements and updated designs with those, the netcode is not perfect, and I hope this gets addressed sooner than later. Surprised to see this because I think the netcode is pretty perfect. I think it's fantastic, to be honest. What else they're saying? I hope this gets addressed and later because this game is good, but it could be perfect and I want more people to get into it. Pretty good, 90. COG Connected, another 90. State of the Wolves was worth the wait. Every mechanic is meticulously crafted, resulting in a deep, multi-layered fighter. The system in place encourages strategic thinking and quick adaptation. That is absolutely true, making each battle feel like a thoughtful, tactical encounter, while the single-player campaign lacks the imagination that imbues the gameplay. I agree. There's a problem. Well, we'll talk more about this later on. SNK has delivered a game that not only honors the legendary legacy of the franchise, but also confidently moves it forward. And then we have PSX Brazil, 85. So I don't think I'm gonna. Should we do all of them? I think it's a lot. But okay, PSX Brazil 85. So what are they saying? The single player so the gameplay is varied and fun for both casual and hardcore audiences. The single player content is very good with different modes. The game's only flaw are its unnecessarily confusing interface and the online with many matchmaking issues. Very strange. Okay. The confusing interface, I do agree on some parts, especially the online, like I was talking about earlier yesterday in the stream, how you can add a player, how it's confusing and weird, how you add a friend, and that 10-digit code, I think doesn't make much sense. Also, like trying to get replays or not replays, but trying to create clones from other players is very confusing. So it's not that needs to be ironed out. But matchmaking, dude, like yesterday, I couldn't even sit down. It's like one match after the other. It was a bit too much, honestly. like too good. So matchmaking, I don't think it's an issue, to be honest. Noisy Pixel, another 85. And by the way, I should be here, 87, but again, I'm not a publication. So these are just publications, by the way. Noisy Pixel, Fate of Fury City of the Wolves marks a triumphant return for SNK's legendary series, blending classic 2D fighting mechanics with bold new system, balanced roster, refined combat depth, and full crossplay. Alright, why is it 85? It stands tall among modern, though occasional presentation inconsistencies and a shallow RPG mode hold it back from perfection. Yes, the episodes of Southtown needs an overhaul. It is, as I said in my review, and I said during the stream, the foundation is there, right? It is great foundation that we can build on it, that SNK can build on it something big and something that could be the best single player experience, even if it's not cinematic, because you could have enough artwork for it to feel kind of cinematic. The lack of artwork is a problem, I think. The repetition for the modifiers are, they're not very varied. The mini games not being part of EOST but being in that different sub menu. These are some of the issues that I found with episodes of Southtown. Hobby Consolas, it might not be the most innovative or spectacular game on the scene today, but it certainly has a clear vision of what it wants to present, and it delivers solidly. If you're looking for classic fight with a slightly modern twist, you can say okay, like Terry Bogard here. Alright, 84. Once again, SNK has consistently shown their improvement in audio-visual presentation while creating an amazing and engaging sequel that was highly anticipated for more than decades. Alright, 83 from Games.ch. Series celebrates highly successful combat, complex combat, unique characters and action that simply feels great. So rev it up. They don't say exactly, and again, I'm not gonna go into the full reviews because this video will be maybe 10 hours long. Video Chums, what does it say? Expensive fighter ever made, but what's here is undeniably great stuff that any fighting game enthusiast can easily enjoy. The question is, will Hotaru's Ferret be available as a stuffy? That's a good question, to be honest. That is a good question. Hey, Poor Player gave it an 80. Decided to go down here a bit. I don't want to focus too much on the negative. Fate of Fury City of the Wolves is already a deep and satisfying fighting game with a ton going for it. I never thought I'd see another Fate of Fury game, and while it hasn't yet surpassed Mark of the Wolves in my heart, it's better than Mark of the Wolves. Okay, it's the nostalgia, of course. It's understandable. I definitely want to keep coming back for more. I just hope those server issues, what? Don't continue to be an issue. Probably during the review time. Yeah, the servers were down during the review because, like, for reviewers, including myself, we had the game for about a week, and then for like 3 days, the servers they were not like down. They turned them off, and I think that's why he's talking about server issues. Creative Block. After a long time, Fate of Fury City of the Wolves shows the series is still fighting. While fighting fit, while its package isn't without some blemishes. This is no throwback, but takes its rightful place in this modern era of excellent fighting games. Gaming Trend saying that the game has a lot of potential, but it can feel like it puts effort into all the wrong places. Episodes of Southtown just isn't very fun because it's focused on stats, while arcade mode is a blast and has a far better cinematics. I agree that arcade mode has better cinematics. As I said, episodes of Southtown lacks artwork, lacks presentation, like visual presentation. The fighting systems have a great core but feel needlessly complicated. No, come on, they are not. Dude, they are not complicated compared to other games. Still, if you take the time to learn the game and its characters, it can feel great to play. Yes, it is. Game Pressure, State of the World is very good and representative of the genre, but I feel that after a maximum of a few months, I would put it aside. I want something more from a title of this caliber. So I think he's talking about single player content, probably. Now, that's interesting. Let's see if that's what he means. Is it the single? Well, this is too long again. I'm not gonna be the cons. Let's see. Modest set of characters. That's untapped potential for 2-lane battle mechanics. Yeah, we talked about that. There's that 2-lane battle mechanics is awesome. It needs a separate mode, by the way, because right now it's a bit different. They put in episode of Southtown as a great single player campaign, while most people have issues with it in terms of variety. It's a fun, as I said, it's a great foundation, but needs some work. Okie dokie, but why though? I've never heard of this website. Despite some hiccups on the presentation side, a lot of people had issues, by the way, on the presentation and the menus. I understand that, to be honest. 80 from Shack News. I have been waiting most of my life for much of what this game brings to the table. It's a solid feeling fighting game. One of my favorite. Good offensive, defensive options. Great starting. Oh, this is okay. Fun comic bookish animation style and an editor to adjust character. That said, it's not like this is perfect by any stretch. I kind of wish the last 2 months of news for this game hadn't happened, because one of the results is problematic. Not Ganachi, he can stay. All right, that paired with a checklist story mode and somewhat unintuitive online UI kept this from being my ultimate fighting dream come true. Everybody's talking about the UI. Wow. Like initially, like the main menu, I don't have any problem with it. I think the online, as I said, like the go into ranked, unranked, room, that's all fine. But as soon as you start getting a little bit deeper, it gets confusing. So it's understandable. IGN Deutschland is saying the fighting game community is currently plagued by a problem. The game mechanics are being softened to appeal to casual players, but neither pros nor casuals want that. Thank you. The latter would be more than happy with more solo game modes. Fatal Fury State of the Wolves doesn't offer these in a satisfactory form. Yes, the single player mode. Everyone's talking about that, so hopefully SNK is listening. It feels like an alternative at this point. It doesn't offer these. Okay, but that aside, it feels like an alternative at this point. It's a challenging option that will delight hardcore fans, in particular with its high learning curve and in-depth game mechanics, despite audiovisual restraint and uninspired solo content. Again, the solo content. Everyone's talking about that. That gives me hope that SNK is going to fix that. Again, you can't fix this game. You can. You can make it better. You don't. It's not broken. The game is amazing, but you can make it better with solo content. Jeuxvideo.com or .com, French website. A comeback, yes, we can say so. City of the Wolves is beautiful, fast-paced, and has a netcode that works perfectly for facing off against friends. There are certainly few drawbacks. Certain characters, talking about Ronaldo, story mode that is unfortunately rather anecdotal. I agree, but we readily forgive the 26 here when given the quality of this production, which marks spectacular return. Man, like this is really good reviews. Metro Game Central, I'm gonna have to start skipping some. Excellent return. Makes solid impact despite some gimmicky guest characters. Okay, not a lot of fans are fans of the guest characters. Still the nostalgia, many since, as mentioned at the beginning of the review, it's been 25 years since we've had a new installment, but thinking it can compete with its rivals might be difficult despite having care of people involved in its development. Game spoo, while its guest characters are questionable and there are some issues with its single-player RPG mode, Fatal Fury State of the Wolves is a fantastic fighting game with fun mechanics, attractive visuals, etc. This game is saying a long-awaited return. It's kept with the latest trends. So a lot of 80s. A lot of 80s. Game around spots you games. We're starting going into the 70s. Let's see what's happening here. So far, as we are still in the 80s, it seems the people complain about the UI, the single player content. That's, I think, the two main things that are people complaining about. And everybody's praising the gameplay, which is good. And the majority are praising the netcode. A couple people saying netcode is problematic. I don't agree with that. All right, so 78. What are they saying here? However, we're gonna go with however. So this is cool. The steep learning curve and the complexity of its various mechanics make it less accessible for newcomers. The available modes are mostly traditional, with the addition of a more elaborate one clearly inspired by Street Fighter 6 World Tour mode. Not really, unfortunately, due to budget limitations. It ends up being a stripped-down version rather than a true rival. The character roster is solid, but the inclusion of fighters like Ronaldo and Salvatore Ganachi in a legendary franchise like Fatal Fury feels jarring. Okay. Push Square, Fatal Fury City of 70. Wow, really? Okay. Why? Fatal Fury City of the Wolves won't blow you away like Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8, but as a more rudimentary fighter, it is not Guile. Its layered fighting system and vibrant, well-animated characters make for an entertaining overall package that's been 16 years. While the gimmicky guest fighters feel out of place, and the supposed RPG-inspired single-player mode is insultingly basic. Wow, alright, that's a bit harsh. If you're looking for a fine alternative to the more established fighters already on the market, this is more than up to the task. Gaming Bolt. Some part of me pines for the good old days of the sprite-based visuals and old school map, but as it stands, City of the Wolves is a strong continuation of the franchise that will hopefully grow into its own with more support and polish. Right, needs more support and polish. Malditos Nerd with the new installment to the great for veterans, but newcomers will find it tough. A tough wall to climb with little content tailored to them. Yes, needs more content for the casuals and for single play. IGN France gave it a 70. Huh. An honest but half-hearted return for a cult series that for City of the Wolves will delight fans, but will struggle to make an impact in the genre that is unforgiving of lukewarmness. I can agree with this last part. It's like the genre is not forgiving at all. PlayStation Universe gave it a 70? What? Favorite for City of the Wolves, best, a pure fighter with great mechanics that are easy to understand and only the best will master. It's just a shame that so many of its modes and unlocks are shallow and don't add much to the overall experience. And we have the 6th axis. Favorite for City of the Wolves struggles not only to understand what it wants to be. 60. Okay. 6th axis give it 60? But which audience it wants to be for? While the game can be a sweat-inducing treat as its highest level of play, casual gamers might not get a lot out of it. And the bevy of distracting guest characters and stage song composers in the game make it hard to see the title for its own merits. Oh, they're talking about the music. Well, you can switch that. I think they have it by default as the DJ thing. I don't agree with that. I think it should be SNK and it should announce telling you that you can change it to the DJ collab. Would have been better, I think. Yeah, 60 is a bit, but 60 is a bit harsh, dude. I mean, 80 in the 80s, I think it's, you know, as I said, I gave the game 87 and I'm a super fan. So yeah, what do you guys think? I'm really curious what do you think? What like you as the you know, the viewers, what would you give the game? Give me a score, let me know why. Let's see what this is what the critics are saying. I want to see what you guys, the community, the people who love this franchise, who have been fans of SNK, of these games for a long time. I want to hear what score you're going to give the game and what you don't, what you liked, what you didn't like. But yeah, let's do that. Let's try to see what's the NeogeoNow audience is going to score this game. All right, so let me know all that and more in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.